For the third year in a row, California is a tinderbox. Firefighters here are dealing with unprecedented fire seasons.
When I started in this business with the forestry, our seasons, especially in this region, would maybe run 4 good months, right? Now, we start in April and we go almost to Christmas.
In Northern California's Sonoma County, the Kincaid fire has burned 16,000 acres and about 2,000 residents are under evacuation orders.
How you doing, Scott Roars?
Oh, good to meet you, Scott. Greg Mullins.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So.
I worked with your mates in 2017 on the Pocket Fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Australia. They came out. Yeah.
Greg Mullins has been in Northern California before, fighting fires alongside his US peers and observing the worsening conditions.
The most fire-prone parts of the planet are burning more and more. Here in California, 18,000 homes last year, 9,000 the year before. Previously, 3,000 was the biggest that they'd think of. They're just shaking their heads saying, what the hell is around the corner?
You can see in this video fire vehicles driving straight through the flames.
He says what's happening in California fits a pattern he's seen over his 40 years with Fire and Rescue New South Wales.
What's that called? That's the Reinhardt. Oh, that's the Reinhardt. Okay. All right.
About half a century of observations, I noticed the fire seasons were getting longer, there was less rain in winter, the winds are getting stronger, and the days of bad fire danger, there's just becoming more and more of those. Over the years I noticed this, and the fires are harder to fight. And people are saying now, we've got major fires in New South Wales, we've had them in Queensland. These are months early, they started in August, but that's what's happening every year now.
California's famed wine country is now being regularly hit by devastating fires.
So this was the tasting room bar all along here.
75-year-old Ken Wilson has spent his life building his business. Last week, it burned to the ground.
Is this something you ever expected to happen?
No, I thought we were pretty much safe from, I mean, look at the vines between here and the mountain. You know, it would have had a lot of vines to burn through if it's a ground fire. But since it's a wind fire, that's different.
Australian winemaker Mick Schroeder has been in California since the early 90s. He's evacuated his home twice in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a little nightmarish. We were woken up by a neighbour at 11 o'clock last week, Wednesday, and walked outside, and all we saw was this massive glow and plume of smoke in the hill behind us. So threw stuff in the car as quickly as we could, trying to think through what do you do in those, those emergencies.
California is now at the point where it's mobilising military assets in a new kind of war.
They're getting in Hercules, ex-military Hercules aircraft that carry 3 times as much water as their current aircraft. They're getting Black Hawk helicopters with 4,500 litre tanks for exactly the same reason, because the fires are just becoming uncontrollable. We lease heavy firefighting aircraft, the Ericsson Sky Cranes, the Elvis, people call them Elvis 737s with 15,000 litres, C-130 Hercules with 15,000 litres. We don't have them in Australia. So their Air Force of 23, one fire service, 23 fixed-wing water bombers, we have 1 in New South Wales. As each of the states and territories in Australia, their fire seasons heat up and start early, they won't be able to share trucks, people, incident management personnel. So it's going to be harder and harder to fight these fires, and we need a national response to this.
For 6 months, Greg Mullins has been trying to get the Australian government to listen.
The group that I formed with former fire chiefs, we wrote to the Prime Minister, I've written to him. We were fobbed off to Minister Taylor, who was not the right minister to speak to. We wanted to speak to the Natural Disasters Minister and the Prime Minister. We asked for help with that, never got a reply.
And how did that make you feel?
Look, angry and frustrated. Climate change is real. It's making it a more dangerous planet for everybody, but particularly in Australia, there needs to be a national response. You had 23 experts willing to sit down with the Prime Minister and come up with solutions, but he's just fobbed us off.
Emergency Minister David Littleproud was unable to be interviewed for this story, but in a statement said,
"The Australian government contributes almost $15 million annually to the National Aerial Firefighting Centre and is currently considering further funding towards this capability. The government is not considering the use of military assets to assist in fighting fires, as aircraft used for aerial firefighting are required to be significantly modified. While my office has not received a formal request to meet with Mr Mullins to date, I have asked my staff to reach out to Mr Mullins to initiate a meeting in the near future."
So the fire's coming that way.
Yeah.
Wipe that out.
Greg Mullins hasn't given up the fight. He's now part of a group of 23 former senior emergency figures pushing for action on climate change to protect the country he loves.
We're coming into what I think is the most dangerous dangerous build-up to a fire season I've seen since 1994, when New South Wales was devastated. And there's not even platitudes, there's just closed doors and closed minds as far as I'm concerned. That's atrocious, that our national government doesn't recognise that there's a disaster heading their way. So, again, please listen, Prime Minister.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.